Hello there. I decided that this would be a really good opportunity to showcase something here and to tell you and maybe even teach you a little bit about it. These are all the little various tools and little knickknacks that I use, and I'm going to demonstrate to you why I use them and what each tool is and its intended purpose to me. So, I'll sit you down right here. Oh, that's a good angle. Yeah, I keep them in this little kind of a acrylic drawer. I got this from Ross. It was on sale. And then I built a little sliding drawer for this desk to put all my tools in so that I don't see them all the time. I know putting tools in drawers is not a good habit. Me personally, I'd like to see them sitting out, but because I do have to also work and live in this space, I like to be able to put the tools away when I don't need them. If this was just a workshop, I wouldn't care. I'd leave my tools sitting out. But we're going to go through each one of these tools. This tool right here is just a really basic set of pliers. You know, nothing too exciting there. I got this in a little modeling kit along with these little sprue cutters here. And I like to use these tools just for basic kind of cleaning up parts. This is one of Galvatron's connectors. And you see that this is, I've already broken this, a lot of the supports off of this thing. That's why it looks really nasty, but I like to kind of use these plier things to grip these little stubborn areas here and just kind of rip those parts off and toss it in the bin. That's what these tools are useful for. Now, those are those. Throw that away too. Sprue cutters. Well, everybody knows who's into either Gundam builds or any plastic model working will automatically tell you what these are used for. These are used for cutting little plastic sprues, like for example off of this, off of one of these resin prints. So what you want to use them for, they have a flat end here, and they have a little beveled end there. You want to make sure you put that flat end against the piece. Now most of the time on these resin pieces you can just snap these off, but there is a chance, a risk that, because resin, I use it for simple things. There's a chance that resin is brittle enough that even pulling this off can actually pull a chunk out of the piece itself. So I like to take these little sprue cutters, place that flat end against the piece, and just cut, and then pull away. And if there's anything left, I just kind of like, you know, cut it again or scrape it, because it has like a little, almost like a blade end there. And that's perfect for getting rid of these little sprues from resin printed parts. That's what these are used for. Pair pliers. I say you never know when you're gonna need a good set of pliers to do just about anything, so always keep one of these around. Case in point, this guy again. You'd be thinking, why would you want to take a pair of pliers to this? Look at the bottom there. So I'm not gonna print these like this anymore just because it's a little difficult to clean. I have some newer ones. Here, I'll show you. I have some newer ones here that I have a much thinner support structure. It's the same exact part, but it's just printed slightly differently. But in the case, I use these pliers to kind of rip off this bottom half. Now, you can't do this by hand. It is obscenely difficult. So I like to get my pliers in there, and I'll kind of put one end here. This is always a scary operation. I would normally loosen this up before doing this, but yeah, tell you what, let's wait to use the pliers right now. I'm going to do the right thing. Pliers will come next. Let me show you this. This is just a flathead screwdriver. I don't know what size it is, but I have a couple of them. They're used for various things. I have a small one for small things, and I have a big one for big things. And let me demonstrate the screwdrivers real quick before I get before I lose track of what I'm doing. This is a regular FDM printed Galvatron gun. This is how they come off the printer. I haven't cleaned this at all, but that's where those little flathead screwdrivers come in. So I take this little small one here, and you can see a little bit of support kind of inside of that crack right there. This little screwdriver is the perfect size to kind of get in there and pry up. Now I always pull away from the piece. I never dig into the piece, I always pull away because you don't want to scratch the FDM part, because these things don't get finished or painted, they just get sold as is. And it took that little piece out perfectly, little flathead. And obviously the bigger ones, use your imagination, these bigger ones would be used to take off even larger things like this. So we're going to go into this, there's a crack here and a crack there. We're trying to wedge this in here. It has a little kind of like a spade shape to it on the end. It's tapered. You can kind of wedge it into a, it's hard to do this on front of camera, without breaking the piece. You know, it's always, there we go. And be careful not to jab this into your finger. Always kind of keep your palm away from the tip. There we go. It's kind of, you see the plastic kind of peeling up a little bit there in the shadow. And this is what I usually do right before I'm going to take one of these parts off. Ah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, it's flexing. It's the first time I've ever shown how to, how I've cleaned any of these parts. Alright, that's good. We've loosened it up. Pliers. Get to save the day this time. Here's a little, let's use the small pliers, little needle nose pliers, to take off this little flag here on the back. Let's grab it. Okay. Don't fail me now. This is always a scary operation. I have to line up the front end here with the back end here. Yes, I know there's better ways to do this, but this is how I've been doing it, at least for a while. And it's working, but I'm going to fix this. In contrast, I'm going to show you how easy it is to take the part off of the... Alright, here's where you got to be careful. Because I'm squeezing in here, I have to push in hard with my fingers on these edges here, or the walls will literally break off because of the force. So I'm going to pinch really hard there. It's really hard to do this in front of camera. Ooh. Whew. Got that sucker off. Bin. Let's fix our little drawer. I have little rubber feet on this drawer so it doesn't get away from me. And voila! It's off. Now this guy has a little bit of cleaning left to do. I'd come in here with the with these things and finish up. But that's not the point of this video. The point is to show you what these little tools do. Let's see, which one's next? Let's see if we can use this. This is just a little pair of smaller pliers. This came in a kind of a nail file set, but I like these because they come together at a really fine point. And you can use these pliers to grasp little tiny things like hairs. Yeah, you see that right there? See if we can get that guy. He's showing up on camera, but he's not showing up to my eye. Oh, there he is. I see him. He'll grab little hair follicle pieces that you can't grab with your fingers or get the leverage on with your fingers. This guy takes it right off. So, that's that. The next little tool, and possibly my favorite tool in here, this is a little metal file. And metal files, I didn't know that I needed these until I got them. And someone generously donated these to me, and I have like 2 or 3 sets of them now that look identical. I love this this kind of spade-shaped file here. It has a flat top and a curved underside. I know it's hard to tell because the camera's focusing on all the shiny stuff back there, but it's round on the bottom, flat on the top, really thin. Allows me to get into curved places like the inside of this connector piece. There's little nubbins in there, and we want to take those little burrs off with the file. I'll take it in there and just kind of rub it around using the curved side of it. 'Cause you don't want to scrape your surface up too much. Alright, we'll clean that out. Kind of get as much of that junk out of there as you can. And you don't want to take metal to these things because they will leave like permanent blemishes unless you want to paint them. Which I typically don't print FDM printed parts unless it's for myself or for a cosplay thing. Alright, so let's see. Do I have a barrel sitting around? I actually don't have a barrel sitting around. That's fine. But that's what I use to check the fitting of the barrel. I'll take a barrel and I'll just put it in there and I'll test it, sand it a little more, test it, and that's when I know the part's ready. This thing is not fully clean. Now, next part that I like to use for things, obviously, is this little emery board. This comes in handy all the time, especially when I'm sanding down the rough edges of parts. Let me bring out a part here. You're excited to see this. Whoa, it's a raw Jetfire part. That's what it looks like when it's not been cleaned, and it doesn't look like, you know, this guy who's wonderful looking. Anyway, I can demonstrate some of these other tools while I'm here. Let's just take off some of these supports. Depending on which printer prints these parts, actually dictates how easy the supports are to remove sometimes. And it has something to do with probably flow rate or temperature or whatever. Some printers over extrude and some printers under extrude. I don't try to control it, I just work with it and I adjust accordingly. I think the best way I've found is to remove it from the bottom here and then take it off. You don't want to, I mean, these things are not going to break unless you really want to break them. But sometimes the support's really on there good and it'll just go, you know, rip it off. It's happened once, never happened again, because I prevented that. You learn from your mistake the first time. You can really see I'm getting a lot of use out of these pliers here. This is my #1 tool. I wish I had another pair. This is the only pair I have. So, alright. So, the part we're going to want to sand is down here. I usually, I'm going to tell you something about the way I print things. There's always going to be an ugly side when it comes to FDM printing. Whatever side is facing the print bed is going to be the bad side, the bird side. And what I've done with a lot of my pieces is I've oriented the prints in a way to where the bad side of the print is very, very minimal. So all this stuff is nice, everything out here is nice, all these edges. I try to minimize whatever bad section is going to be on the part, and I keep it to this just little strip here on the bottom. Let me clean that up for you. This isn't what I'm talking about. This is just supports. Supports can be removed. It all depends on how you print these things as to which side is good. It's the orientation that matters a lot. And you can definitely tell a 3D printed part in quality simply just by its orientation. And so the only part of this thing that looks a little ugly is just this bottom edge. But who's going to be looking there? It's going to be facing down. So I feel like I made a good decision with that. Now we're going to put this emery board to use. This little bottom part right here. It has a lower grit here, really rough. And then it has a finer grit on the back. You can get these at the dollar store. And I got a pack of 2 of them for, you know, maybe $3 or $2. You want to hit it with a finer grit. If you're trying to finish it off, hit it with a finer grit. If you have something that's really just kind of rough on there, then you want to use this more coarse grit. I might just do that for fun. It's so weird doing this on camera. Also, when I'm sanding with this, you can do it with the fine side, I like to go in a pattern like this, just kind of oscillating back and forth, and then changing the angle as I go, because I don't want to, I don't want the edge to look too flat or too uniform. I want to hit it this side, and this side, so that I completely cover that edge. And now that's actually pretty smooth to the touch right now. See if it passes a visual inspection to me. It's okay. And this is the minimal amount of work that I do to each of these pieces when they come off the printer. Just got basic inspections. You really can't tell these are 3D printed unless you have them right up under your microscope. Sorry, the camera's shadow's in the way. Oh, look. See that little hair? Most of the time I can just take these little things off with my fingers, but like that guy right there, he's a little stubborn. So I'll try to get my little pliers in there and I'll try to get him. accidentally grabbed that part, and it still held up. That's good. Look at this guy. This little guy inside of that hole right there. It can't be in there. We need to use this hole. So I'll have to take this little flathead screwdriver and just give it a turn. Pops right out. And ends up in the floor and gets eaten by the carpet. That's why I vacuum. Once a month. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I don't vacuum at all. Now I'm really kidding. Are you kidding, man? I have to live here. Okay. And, yeah, that's a good demonstration of me using a little emery board to sand off this this edge here. I might even hit that again. But this piece is ready for painting. Obviously, I'll test this and make sure that it works. Okay, I'm back. Oh, wait. We've covered this tool. We've covered the screwdrivers. Get Prime's hose out of the way. Here's a little micro not micro SD, but SD card reader, because my PC down there, that guy, the Legion mini cube PC, they're sold out now. You can't get those anymore, at least last time I checked. Maybe they restocked, but it's just a little card reader. Every time I change a file on the printer or update the G-code or anything like that for my FDM printers, I use a card reader, and I manually go in there, retrieve it, bring it back in here. I know that's taxing to walk back and forth all the time and do it manually, but let me tell you, I need all the exercise I can get, because if this becomes a permanent profession for me, which it might, then staying in my house, sitting in a chair in one place, not moving around, yeah, that's not healthy. So get up and walk every now and then. It doesn't hurt. This is a, obviously, this is a hand of a robot. This is, I believe it's from the Siege Optimus Prime from the, I think it's Galaxy Force Optimus, or otherwise known as Cybertron Optimus Prime, the leader class one. I had him on my little shelf on display for a while, but his handhole is perfect for little 5mm pegs, which is what I use to test Galvatron guns. So, while I'm here, or while you're here, I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. So, most of the time, when I take these guys off the printer, the peg may or may not be the right size. Most of the time, it runs a little big. So, I'll put it in his hand to see if it fits. What do you know? That's fair. No way. I'll be right back. Got my Galvatron. Because that gun was was a lot looser than I expected it to be. I'm going to test this on Galvatron and make sure it's okay. Huh. Am I wearing out that Optimus hand? Have I used it way too much? Is the hand part too bad now? Oh god. Oh, I've worn it out. I can't believe it, I've worn out his hand. Well, you've seen it here first, folks. It's finally loose. It finally won't hold a 5mm. Wow. Okay. Good to know. I will be replacing that prime hand. There's all kinds of spare Transformers that I'd love to destroy their hands for. No, I'm kidding. So this is a little piece of sandpaper. I keep a couple of them in here. Here's one here. There's one over there. And they're just kind of littered about in there because I use these on gun handles and things like this. So I'll take it and I'll just kind of use my hand. I've seen people use pliers to grip it in turn, but I feel like that's too much. Too much force. And you'll see that it's sanded down the peg a little bit. And I'll just do this until it fits. I guess I'll just test it on Galvatron since he's right here. Normally I don't have the toy here at all times. That's what that hand is useful for. It prevents me from leaving a full figure on my desk at all times to test parts and fittings and stuff. Alright, that's more like it. Maybe a little bit too snug, but There's always a solution. You see, he has one handhole here, but he has one there as well. It's the same size, guys. It's the same size. Aha! There we go. Yeah, got him. Yeah. That's smooth. It even kind of gives it a little smooth finish on it. All right, let's try this again. Do. Ah, perfect. Perfect. Try the other hand, just to prove to myself that the hands are not different. They're not different. Yeah, they're not different. They're the same. Okay, cool. Bye, Galvatron. He said bye. So I'll use that port. But that's why I keep him in here. He's good for testing 5mm guns. At least I believe it's 5mm. Moving on. That guy will be sold. This is a little pair of IC extractors. You would typically find these in the use of like electronics repair, and you can use these to remove little circuits and chips from circuit boards. Assuming you were soldering, they have really, really sharp points on them. And I do have specific cases where I need to use something like this to kind of get inside of a little crack or a hole. I'm trying to... Is it coming to mind? Yes, it's coming to mind. Megatron's stock piece, one of his little stock pieces, I make the handles on those things. They come out. And sometimes when it prints, there's a little cavity, a little divot that I've made in there so that the part can pop in. And sometimes it fills in with support. So because I use these things so much, they get sometimes a little warped and bent. So I take the little claw and I kind of pop that little support just in that tiny little hole. And these parts come in really handy for getting into small places, which is why I keep them in here. And last but not least is this thing. This came in a set of screwdrivers, I believe, but it has this nice little point on the end. I believe you would use this to kind of mark your hole, like if you're about to screw something into the wall or screw two pieces of board together. You would first draw your hole and then use this to kind of mark where your hole is, and I just kind of like get the pin prick in there, and then take my screw and my drill. That way the screw doesn't travel anywhere you don't want it. This is good for marking holes and stuff. But I use this part exclusively for cleaning the back sides of Megatron's scope. And I don't have one that needs to be cleaned right now, or I would happily demonstrate that. But yeah, that's what I use this for. Megatron. And just any general thing, I also use this to clean some of my printers. Like if there's a little hole I gotta get inside of, and I need like a metal pick. It's always good to have some kind of metal pick nearby that has a nice grip handle on it that you can just really get in there and just get something out of a place, a hard to reach place. And oh, who's you? I never used this file. This is another metal file. One of the siblings of this file here. This has like a little square shape to it. Files come in all shapes and sizes. I mostly just use this one for things, but on the off chance that I need this guy, I just keep him in here anyway. But to be honest, I never use him. Interesting. So, I'm going to put all these guys back in here. Put that in there. Put that guy over there. Those little guys. Sometimes they get in the way. Oh, pliers are the biggest things. I only ever use them for really stubborn cleaning. And yeah, it's my little tool drawer. And I keep my trash can right here. Let's there we go. Got that cleaned up. There's some little parts over here too. Thought you could escape. And that's it for this video. Just kind of showing off what tools I use and why I use them. And until next time.